Steve Dixon. We're here at Lommel, but a few weeks ago it was you'd not just team stress, you had British MXGP stress. Can you just look back on that? I know there was criticism about the track not watered enough and being one lined and all that, but I believe from reading your comments you didn't have a lot of time to prepare the track, really.
Yeah, no, I mean, we sort of cleared the grass and that off because it's so every year it's seeded back and then put back to grass. We only use it that once a year. So yeah, we just basically, because we moved the date to June, we had to get extra planning because it's in bird nesting season. So then they had to, and because Boomtown, which is the big festival next to us, was increasing their crowd by 10,000, there was a massive environmental sort of survey. So we had to wait for that, which actually, that made us, we actually never got permission until the Friday beforehand. There had to be like all mitigation for all the bird nesting, which was fine. It just meant that the grass and everything didn't get cut until late on, which was pretty much a Sunday. And that was fine because, structurally, we're all pretty prepared and working with in front, we work well together. It was just that the weather, we used 2.6 million litres of water, and you can't water chalk area many days before. Even one day before is too soon. With the heat that we were having, it would just evaporate. You might as well just chuck the water down the drain because the reason it runs well in the summer and can take so much rain, like at the Nations and that, is because the chalk absorbs so much. So the decision was made to sort of water Friday night, which was fine. And then unfortunately, with our brand new tractor, the gearbox went on it. It was electronic, so it was brand new, from a sponsor, and that sort of messed us right up for 3 hours. So we got through Saturday, and then because there was a bit of dust on TV and stuff like that, they called for watering, and they just basically overwatered it. Didn't quite listen to me because we know the area, and
so it wasn't. You'd been telling them, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much in front. It was just timing on the watering team, and so it didn't ride as good as it normally would. But it was the first. It was exceptionally dry weather, and now even still that area is under a water drought, so we're not allowed to use hose pipes or anything like that. So it was difficult.
Overall, as great as the track is, it seems there's a lot of issues outside to try and find the right time to have the race, and you're sort of jumping through a lot of hoops to put that race on.
Not really. So originally, when we did the planning, our traditional event date was sort of August. So then, and then it started to clash because Boomtown got bigger and bigger. So then it was decided to sort of move forward. Then we had a few in sort of January, February and March. Some went well. We even had to water in February, but it was always risky because of the cold and everything. And so then because of the original planning, which was in 2010, since then it changed from an area of natural outstanding beauty to a national park. So with that comes a lot more planning changes.
Okay.
So they're not strict, they're just correct, and we have to adhere to it. So we've had 8 changes out of the 16-year GPs we've run, so it's not a problem. It was just the fact that Boomtown were having a big change in their planning. So that's all. And then we have to run at the highest standard regarding security and everything, because we have big festivals there, and I'd say we're sort of a few leagues above everything else. We had to have welfare officers 24 hours a day, just in case of vulnerable children, adults, etc. So it's quite strict, but that's the way it's going with with a lot of it comes from Martin's Law, which was from the Manchester bombing, and a lot will come into place next year. We had to have, people don't know that we had to have dog drug dogs and terrorist dogs searching the area for 2 hours before the event opened, because terrorism, all that sort of threat is big in the UK now, well, everywhere. But so we're on a high priority list that we have to adhere to all that.
Flip. So how much? Obviously, you're still running a race team that weekend as well. Usually, if it's a GP, how much extra stress is doing both things?
Oh, well, it's not stress. I mean, I've been doing it a long time, and I have a choice to say no, and I enjoy it. It is stressful, a couple of times, like just leading up to it. It's just basically trying to juggle all the money and that, because traditionally the motocross spectator buys very late, and that makes it hard on cash flow. So, but apart from that, it's enjoyable.
And you're hoping to run the GP again next year?
Yeah, I mean, I have a motocross every week, and we have a good team around us, and if we get chosen for a GP, we'll do it. If we don't, we don't, and we can take it or leave it. It's more just to keep the tradition of the British GP going, because I don't think if anyone else ran it, they might run it once, but the main thing was to get the the sort of durability, sort of continuity of it, and that's what we started out in 2006. So it's been way more GPs than Foxhill, and it's one of the longest established. Been there 20 years now, so it's not like a whim.
People harken back to Foxhill, and those were fantastic days, but this is really a bigger legacy, and that's thanks to you for keeping the British GP going,
and things have changed a lot. It's you can no longer sort of hang over the fence, and things like we used to. Safety of people is paramount, and ultimately the promoter's held responsible, and you see it. You see it on all sort of TV at the moment, and sort of on the internet, just all different sort of scenarios. Someone could nick a bike and someone chase them, hit them, and even though they haven't stolen it, they get done. It's there is a lot of responsibility for us.
It's a minefield. So, Steve, my first knowing who you were was probably around Paul Malin's racing career in the 90s with the Yamaha.
Yeah.
So, what went into running the team then, and how was Paul as a rider? Because he had some great success with you.
Yeah, Paul was. Me and Paul were together 8.5 years.
So 8.5 years.
Yeah. So and then, until he injured his back. Yeah. So no, I mean they were fantastic times. They were different times. Used to travel together. So it was. Some years we were away 263. Yeah, 263 days was the longest I was away. Yeah. So it was a lot different then. Now it's a lot of flying, a lot more rounds. But then back then there was 12 rounds plus 8 British 500 races. Then there was 6 125, 6 250. So there was still a lot of racing, and we did all the internationals like Beaucaire and Balance and those sort of ones. So it was a lot of racing every week still. And Hawkstone was on New Year's Day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was always a warm one.
And snow and everything.
How was Paul as a rider? Because it seemed when he was on, he could beat nearly anyone. He'd obviously a great style, but then other years it was injuries, or he just didn't have the performance. How was that for you?
Paul was a fantastic rider, and he was pretty articulate, and injuries. His biggest injury really was in '97 when we went to Indonesia, and we was hoping to win the title. We did everything correct. Went over there 2 weeks beforehand, and he tweaked his back, and it turned out it was from when he broke his leg when he was 10. So that eventually made his nerve in his back touch, and then from there onwards it was sort of difficult, So
was that why he had to retire? Still coming from
pretty
that
much,
back issue, right?
Yeah. But other than that, I think we would have won the title in '97. Everything was clicked. In '96, we just had Tortelli was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was.
So. So we finished second in the world then, but winning the nations with him, and winning my first Grand Prix, which was also Foxhill, that was fantastic in '95. So a lot of good memories.
Came not out of nowhere, but they rose to the occasion that day. Were you expecting him to perform as good as?
So in '94 we were riding the 250 GPs, and he wasn't doing so well. So I thought the only way that we could get him into the nations was for Built 125, and we did some races. So we did some local races and won those, and he was quick on it. So then he was quickest in all the training, and then Dave Thorpe chose him, and he won both races. And as they say, the rest is history.
That's sort of where he kickstarted his career again. He was really good.
Definitely. I mean, it's all about getting the right fit for a rider in a team or a bike or whatever, and and that's key.
Was 97 one of the biggest disappointments of your career? Because Paul was really like a nailed-on title contender, if not world champion.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the first round, and as I say, tweaked his back. We couldn't ride in Indonesia, and we were both there crying, and because we had done so much in preparation all the winter. We went out 2 weeks earlier. We were riding out there to get ready for the weather and everything. So we was just devastated, but. We went to Witch Doctor, we tried everything to ride, but couldn't.
So you had Carl Nunn and Billy Mackenzie as well, just after that time. How was Billy? He done an interview with us, and he said he was pretty wild at that stage, but you were almost like a father figure for him and really helped him.
I mean, he lived with us for quite a long time, and then then he actually sort of owns 2 houses down, down near the workshop. No, I mean, he was wild, but sort of, I mean, I got on well with him, and he had a lot of aggression, and that was good. And he was a bit wild just outside the motocross, but that was fine. Yeah, it was good.
And he got some good results.
Yeah, I mean, he went again, winning his first GP with us at Isle of Wight. He was passionate, and then obviously Japan, he won a couple of years with us in a row, and then went on to win it with 250 with Kawasaki. So but that I think that brought everyone into his comfort zone, which was weird timings and only McDonald's to eat and stuff like that. So he was good, and Carl Nunn was also fantastic as well. I mean, they just come back from training. His girlfriend got killed, Catherine.
That's right. It was 98. Started 90.
I think it was about 98. And we said to him, you don't have to ride this year. Just come back next year. But he used it to his, to help empower him, and had a third at Foxhill, and
that was a fantastic performance.
And then we won in. What was the race we won in?
It was
like Verdun or something like that.
It was France the year. Plomion, yeah.
Double win. Yeah, so
he had a lot of talent. Do you feel he got the most out of his talent? I remember at 14.
No, I mean, I think a lot of times, so they get to a point and then they're successful, and then other people join in and want to try and steer him in a direction, or steer people in directions that's not quite right. It's more for other people's gains. He should never have really taken the Husky deal.
Yeah.
I remember him talking to me. He thought it was better because you could make so many options, but there were too many options that you actually couldn't make a decision. Whereas, like with a Japanese bike, it's undergone so much, testing and different types of people that it's generally right straight off. So you only have to make small tweaks.
So, coming forward to nowadays, obviously you've brought Kai Karsmakers on board, and he's shown a lot of speed and getting results for you. But how difficult is running the team now compared to, say, in the 90s and early 2000s with those guys we just mentioned?
It's no different really. It's just more, back then, we did everything. We did suspension, we did engines, we did the travel, and now there's a lot more people doing it. I mean, although we're a small team, we've been a big team. We morphed to whatever the sponsorship, is there at the time. So, say back in the sort of 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, we had, Zach, Tonus, Sean Simpson, Mel Pocock, all doing really well, and podiums and everything like that. So, but if you've got a lot of staff to do it, then it's doable. Now there's a lot of money gone into the structures and workshops and stuff like that. But luckily I had my workshop 25 years ago now, and I have all the CNC lathe and mills and stuff like that.
You're still using all that?
Oh yeah, we make stuff, and we do stuff for other teams in America and stuff like that. So that's part of my passion as well.
It just reminded me, going back to the Osborne Tonus days, they were brilliant. basically almost a factory team, the level of riders you had there.
Well, we so in 2009, Zach was known for being a rever, and he broke quite a few factory bikes because we was with the factory Yamaha team then, and basically said to me, look, if we don't change from the factory, I'm going back to America. Mm-hmm. Not in a horrible way. I mean, Zach's lovely. So then that's how our connection with Cosworth came, because they made good pistons, and then sort of Zach and Tonus, they rode exactly the same bikes. Yeah, one was a Rever and one was Silky Smooth.
I was going to say it was probably completely different.
One was small and one was tall, and and they would be like within 0.00 of a second. And they were great days, and with Max Anstey and everything. So McFarland and Ferris. So we need to get back to those days. It's just there's a lot more teams. Mm-hmm. I mean, back then I think we had a bit more of an advantage with the bike. We were maybe ahead of our game.
The Cosworth seemed to be the fastest bike on the track, potentially. Was it?
Yeah, we were ahead of the game then, and now there's a lot more technology around. The internet's made everything a lot more available. Mm-hmm. The world is a smaller place because of that. So, and people move around, so there's different ideas go around. So it's harder to make a difference now. So, even with the system of EMX and everything, it brings young guys to train early, to eat properly, to get tested, to do winter training, and so it's harder and harder for teams to make that difference, because the youngsters have already sort of followed it and they follow everything on the internet. So you can't bring so many new tricks. You just got to try and be consistent and make the rider as least stressed as possible.
And there's EMX where you, and obviously the British scene, where you would try to look for and try to get, you have Bobby, or
it's Jack Chambers as well. It's difficult because it's a double-edged sword. You want to bring talent through, but then you're under pressure to be able to perform and get results. Yeah. So you need to get a good rider, and I mean that's sort of why I think the decline in the British teams at the moment, or British riders, is because back in the 90s, 2000s, there was a lot of teams, a lot of riders, European riders, coming to the UK. So then we had a lot more competition. Now there's not so many teams that want to come out to Europe. I mean, here we are at Lommel, and there's one or two teams. Before every team would come across just to experience and be part of it. It doesn't seem that drive is there, and it's not the cost, because it's €300 for to ride MX2 or MXGP for one GP, and you get passes and you get a camber. It's actually cheaper than coming over here to watch. So I don't know. It's a bit worrying, really. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows the sort of main sort of cause of it or how to change it. But it needs thinking about it, and it needs a group of people. I put in suggestions, but it has to come from the rider. The desire has to be there. You take the likes of Brad Anderson and his dad that used to go around doing all the GPs, just and had to be back to work. Brad's sort of true heart, and we lent him a bike once and he won the British Championship race, and it's that's what you need.
And the British Championship itself in the 80s and 90s, it was like a mini world championship with either international riders or GP winning. Thorpe, Malin, Dobb, Nicholl, Watley, all those guys, and even Crockett, Cooper in the early 2000s, Carnun, Mackenzie. Now it's not really like that either, so it's hard for them to even get used to this sort of level.
I mean, a couple of things is obviously there's more GPs. There's 20 GPs, so there's less time to run races, and every country, is running their championship. So there's not so many free weekends where you could say have a factory rider come over. But also back then you had GP teams like Rob Hooper, you had Albion, you had RWJ, you had Kaz, you had Multitech. This goes on. Churchy, MJ Church. So and then you had also there used to be quite a few. You had Philip Neal and all those people come over. You had Chambers
Yeah.
from over there. But yeah, so it just needs to come back there. I just think the desire needs to be there. Yeah, I mean, there was obviously is cost, but there's cost in Europe as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like England has no money and Latvia does. You know, Latvia's producing a lot of good riders at the moment, and you know, there's a reason there, and I think the Eastern European riders have a bit more heart at the moment and a bit more desire. And I spoke to Tim Geiser once, and he said, I said, why is it the sort of, you know, we're seeing a rise in Eastern Europe? He says, well, because we have to perform better than all the trendy countries like UK, like Spain, like France, before, you know, a sponsor will look at us. So we have to be the best, and so we work hard.
You're running Kawasaki team here. You've dealt with a 450 with Bobby Bruce last year. Jorge Prado's looks like he just can't find a way to feel comfortable. What is the Kawasaki like for you in terms of
I mean, the Kawasaki's a fantastic model for the, you know, base model. I mean, anyone can jump on it and it's good. So yeah, I mean, like with every bike at this level, it's just about trying to get as much performance out of it, and, you know, the suspension as good as possible, and yeah, going out there and win. But it's difficult. It all comes down to budget of testing and having the rider fit in the winter time when you can do your testing and training. And that's sort of, unfortunately, that's what happened to us this year with Bobby. He was recuperating, then he got sick, and then he banged his head, then he hurt his knee, and yeah, it was a shame because, you know, it was looking a really good year for Bobby.
With the works rule here, you can basically change anything. Do you think that's difficult for a guy like Prado, who's been used to be able to maybe have a different frame or different power, and then having to adjust to build from a stockish bike more? Or
no, I think Prado's scenario is just he got injured, you know, and the pressure was, you know, to get back for outdoors, because that's where he's made his mark. And it's hard to come back from injury and be at speed. So again, you miss testing. So I've got no doubt in Kawasaki over there. You know, they have fantastic workshops. They have great guys, and also I've no doubt in Prado's ability and determination. You just don't go and win 4 titles, you know, and just be a pussy. You know, so he's they all come together. Everything sort of takes time, and that's. You know, you see that with Jeffrey now. I mean, he's riding today, and he, you know, before he would have had his collarbone plated and been riding the next week. But, you know, he's learned to sort of look after his body. You know, he's sort of coming to an age where he's got to think about the rest of his years, and, you know, so your decisions sort of change. And but no, Prado will fit in there well.
have you ever had where the rider can't get used to the bike, can't adjust himself to the bike, or vice versa, and then one setting change or one part comes and then they click and they're just a totally different rider? Is that a common thing or not really from your
No, not really, but I think at the level you know, Prado's at, it's all about having everything around you, the bike, the training, the eating, the relax, the travel, everything. It's about having it all, you know, working as one. And because when you got, say, 6 people all doing exactly the same thing with the same ability, it's only fractions that are going to make a difference. I mean, you're talking, you know, a bad result for, you know, for Prado, it's like, say, 10, and if you've got 10 good guys over there that are all doing on top of their game, you know, all got training facilities, all got good teams, all got good trainers, all got good dietitians and everything. And that's why, you know, at the moment it's sort of, you know, we're sort of seeing sickness come back again. We saw it a good few years ago, and then it seemed to go, like with the Epstein Barr and everything. I think everyone is looking for that next little bit of, you know, say, advantage, and it's hard to find, and, you know, especially out of the body. I mean, but then, you know, if you look at footballers and that now, before, football used to play the whole season. Now they're rested. They're not.
Yeah, true.
They're not playing. They have individual coaches for sort of each section of the field. They have strategics, analysis, and everything like that. It's way above what it used to be, and the same with F1. You know, I mean, I went to Silverstone and I watched. They did like the old, you know, the sort of F1s through the years, and I mean, when you look at the old cars and they go back to old days, and then you look at a new car and the way it went around the corner, the speed is just unbelievable. I mean, you know, watching the old cars looks like sort of Doris going down the road. It's amazing, and that's sort of what motocross is like. It's evolved into just pure athletic sport, and yeah, things are happening at an alarming rate, and that's why, you know, you see people getting injured and stuff like that, and it's happening quick. You know, they're going fast.
So finally, just regarding the team, obviously Kai's come on the last couple of races. Have you plans for next year? Is it negotiations, or do you know?
Yeah, so as I say, the plan was to go. You know, after the Nations, I just wanted a little bit of a quieter year, and also Kawasaki wants to sort of push. They, you know, fair play to Kawasaki UK and Europe. They wanted to push, you know, the British riders. You know, with Bobby and last year with Billy and, you know, Taylor and that. And it's the sort of, as I said, double-edged sword is you need the results for sponsors. Yeah. So this year we'll come back in MX. Next year we'll come back in MX2, and that was already the plan. We were starting to get ready because of Bobby's knee injury. We're starting to get ready for next year. Okay. And then we needed someone for Preston, which Kai came over, did well, and he's a really nice guy. And yeah, so we would like to continue with him next year, and the rest of this year we'll do all the rounds. We'll do Sweden, we'll do Arnhem, Turkey, China, and Australia.
We're doing everything.
Doing everything, yeah. So from slowing right down, getting ready for next year, we're sort of now going flat out. Yeah, it's 9 weeks in a row that we'll be. So we just got to keep an eye on, you know, development for next year, and yeah. So like here is just, you know, we literally had never been on the bike with Kai here in the sand.
Right.
So that was that sort of, we knew it was going to be difficult. Yeah. But I said to Kai beforehand, you know, I said, we're not expecting anything for this season. I said, you know, but you need to race, and the more race you do, the better it is for you. We can learn a bit, you know, from you. I said, but there is absolutely zero time to test. I said, you know, we literally come to Lommel, then it's back to Landrake, then it's back out to Sweden, then to Arnhem, then back down, you know, get stuff ready to go to straight. We have duns, but at the same time the bikes have got, you know, two bikes have got to go down to Turkey for China and for so logistically and prep and everything, we're just you know, going with the flow.
And then you're straight into really prepping for the season.
And I said to Kai, you know, I'm 99% sure that most teams would just say no because it's too much hassle. But you know, I do thrive on hassle. You know, and it doesn't bother me. I still, you know, I'm the oldest team in the paddock. I think it's like 36 years this year, and I still love it and still enjoy it and look forward to every day. And of course, there are hard times, but you know, I wake up every day looking forward to work. So, and that's something to be said at 61. You know, it's fantastic.
Brilliant, Steve. Thank you very much, and thanks for everything you've done for British motocross and then GPs and the British GP and everything. Much appreciated from sure a lot of people at home.
Yeah.
Thank you.